everywhere. GBS.
A very pleasant evening here in Kenya's capital, Nairobi. Tonight we'll bring you the leading actions that have taken place across the country and, of course, the global space. Be sure to engage us on all our social media platforms at GBS TV Africa, and the SMS line is 21144. My name is Beatrice Njeri. Our sign language interpreter is Paul Mathange. Let's kickstart tonight's bulletin. President William Ruto has finally broken his silence on the Supreme Court ruling on LGBTQ rights and the ongoing debate surrounding the subject, saying that Kenya will never accept such practices. His sentiments were echoed by his deputy Rigathi Gachagua, who termed the ruling by the Supreme Court on LGBTQ rights demonic. Sata Emmanuel with a report.
President William Ruto has for the first time spoken on last week's ruling by the Supreme Court approving the registration of lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender and queer rights groups. In his address during the International Women's Day on Thursday, President Ruto said the LGBTQ practices will not be tolerated in Kenya as they do not conform to the country's traditions and beliefs. He further emphasized that even though they respect the courts, Kenya wouldn't allow same-sex relationships.
Mimi ni mtu ambaye ninamcha Mungu. Yale mambo ambayo yamefanyika kule kotini, hata kama tunaheshimu kotini, lakini desturi, mila, Ukristo wetu, Uislamu wetu hauwezi kuturuhusu mke aoe mke mwenzake ama mwanaume aoe mwanaume mwenzake. Hiyo haiwezekani katika taifa letu la Kenya, jameni. Kwa hivyo musikue na wasiwasi. Tunaelewana? Musikue na wasiwasi. Itafanyika kwingine lakini haitafanyika Kenya.
The Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua also commented on the issue, terming the ruling by the Supreme Court on the LGBTQ rights demonic. Gachagua, who is known not to mince his words, said the Supreme Court ruling left him speechless, and that's why he didn't have an immediate response.
Sasa watu wanauliza, wewe Rigijina ni mtu ya kusema ukweli, mbona hujaongea? Mimi nilishangaa nikashindwa kuongea. Unajua unaweza shangaa ushindwe kuongea. Yale maneno tunasikia pale kotini, ati kuna chama ati ya kutetea ati wanaume waoe wanaume, ati wamama waoe wamama. Sasa hiyo ni mambo gani hiyo? Hiyo maneno hatutaki. Hiyo ni mambo ya kishetani.
Last week, the Supreme Court on a ruling said that the decision to deny members of the community their right to register as an NGO despite homosexuality was discriminatory. The ruling by the court has received a lot of backlash from the Kenyan citizens who have urged the court to overturn the ruling with the basis that Kenya is a religious state. Yesterday, a section of members of parliament called upon Kenyans to ignore the Supreme Court ruling, giving a note to the members of the LGBTQ community to associate. Members drawn from the various groups, including the Catholic MPs Association, Muslim MPs and Bunge Fellowship, criticized the Supreme Court over the decision. Some reading Malay saying it was ironical that the judgment coincided with the visit by the First Lady of the United States, Jill Biden.
We are going back to that Supreme Court with the religious organizations, the churches and everybody, and we are going to request the Supreme Court in their full bench of 7 in number to review that position.
Indeed, our constitution and even the penal code outlaw these scholars' shameful, distasteful and heinous activities. We have a platform to make laws. We are Christians. We will not let Kenyans down.
Reporting for GBS News, I'm Sata Emmanuel.
Chief Justice Martha Koome presided over the swearing-in of the selection panel for commissioners of the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission on Thursday, the 2nd of March. This move comes days after President William Ruto appointed them in a Gazette notice released on the 27th of February. They include Bethel Sugut and Novice Aurelia Atieno. The Parliamentary Service Commission, the political party's liaison committee, was represented by its chairman Evans Masati James. The Law Society of Kenya member was Benson Gogenjeri. Others are Charity Kisotu, Nelson Makanda, and Fatuma Saman. Here are the details.
Thank you very much. You may be seated.
Chief Justice Martha Koome presided over the swearing-in ceremony of IEBC selection panel on Thursday, the 2nd of March, days after President William Ruto appointed them in a Gazette notice released on the 27th of February. The 7 members that will lead the recruitment of nominees for appointments as the chairperson and members of the IEBC commissioners.
Chief Justice, through Gazette notice number 2641, by special gazette dated and published on the 27th of February 2023, His Excellency the President William Samuel Ruto appointed the following to be members of the selection panel for the recruitment of nominees for appointment as the chairperson and members of the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission in exercise of the powers conferred by Section 7A of the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission Act, as read with the first schedule to the Act as amended by the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission Amendment Act 2023. Bethwel Sugut.
They include Bethwel Sugut and Novice Aurelia Atieno from the Parliamentary Service Commission. The political party's liaison committee will be represented by its chairman Evans Masati James. The Law Society of Kenya is Benson Gogenjeri. Others are Charity Kisotu, Nelson Makanda, and Fatuma Saman.
I, Bethwel Sugut, having been appointed member of the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission Selection Panel, do solemnly swear that I will at all times obey, respect, and uphold the Constitution of Kenya.
I, Fatuma Saman, having been appointed member of the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission Selection Panel, do solemnly swear that I will at all times obey, respect, and uphold the Constitution of Kenya.
After the swearing-in, Chief Justice Martha Koome cautioned the new IEBC selection panelists that they are to discharge their mandate fairly according to the law as they are at service to Kenyans, further urging them that they are intended to be the major facilitators of a realization of an electoral body composition that is fair and just according to the Constitution.
And just to caution you that you are at the service of Kenyans, and therefore you must discharge your mandate fairly and in accordance with the law. You are intended to be the major facilitator of the realization of an electoral body composition that is fair and just, and that is done in accordance with the constitutional edicts.
Meanwhile, on Wednesday, President William Ruto terminated the appointment of Irene Masit as IEBC commissioner. This was in line with the recommendations of the tribunal appointed to consider the removal of 4 commissioners. At the same time, Ruto declared a vacancy in the position of the 6th member of the IEBC commission. Members of the IEBC selection panel are expected to find the perfect successors of the IEBC commission ahead of the 2027 general election. Bitis Njeri, GBS News. The High Court on Thursday upheld Joseph Ole Lenku's election as Kajiado's governor, citing a lack of evidence by the petitioner. The ruling by Justice Janet Mulwa was on a petition initially filed by Mr. Kato Ole Mitito, who was later appointed State House Controller. Mr. Ole Mitito, the United Democratic Alliance 2022 gubernatorial candidate in Kajiado, withdrew from the petition after his appointment. Mr. Paul Kirempo, a teacher and former employee of the county government, took over the petition against Mr. Ole Lenku. The petitioner had cited 8 allegations, including voter bribery, ballot box staffing, involvement of county officers in the electoral process as agents, and the UDA agents' denial from accessing polling stations, thus urging the court to invalidate the governor's Ole Lenku's win. Justice Mulwa dismissed the petition, slapping the petitioner with a 2 million Kenya shillings cost. They say the petitioner failed to prove his case, and the allegations presented before the court were not sustained. With his victory upheld, Mr. Ole Lenku will now have to confront the county's ballooned wage bill, drought affecting at least 400,000 families, youth unemployment, water scarcity, and lack of sewer lines in the satellite towns, among myriad challenges in the final term in office.
Tunaiamini kwamba wanafanya haki, wanafanya kazi yao kulingana na sheria. Wapendwa, mniruhusu tu nishukuru familia yangu, mama county hapa. Ufugaji ipangwe kwa njia ya kisasa, isikuwe tu ni mila, lakini pia kuwe ni biashara. Kwa kimombo tunaita modulated pastoralism. Itakuwa ni jambo tutaipatia kipaumbele katika administration hii, ili wengi wetu ambayo wanahusika katika ufugaji, haswa jamii ya Maa, wapange hiyo kazi yao kwa njia ya kisasa, kwa njia ya sayansi, kwa njia itakayowasaidia. Tunaelewa vile dunia inaenda, na ndio tunasema nguzo ya pili ya ono letu ni livable towns. Watu wengi wanaishi towns, dunia inaelekea kuishi towns. Hatutaki towns zetu ikuwe ni mahali ya kuvumilia kuishi, tunataka towns zetu ikuwe ni mahali ya kufurahia kuishi, na itakuwa ni mahali ya kufanya biashara na kuendesha uchumi wetu mbele.
Ana waboi wa Lenku, mimi ni mkaaji wa Kajiado North. Lakini leo tumefurahia vile tumeona koti imeamua, na kweli huyu mzee anaitwa Lenku tulikuwa tumempea kura roho safi. Huyo jaji sasa mimi ninamuita Bensuda wa Kajiado North, amecheza kama yeye. Mungu abariki Lenku, muache Lenku afanye kazi miaka yake ingine 5. Hiyo miaka ingine ikiisha tutacheza kama sisi.
Kwa jina inaitwa Ali Hassan, Emoi Ali Hassan au Cheupe. Kwa hivyo kwa kesi ya leo tumetoa furaha kubwa sana kwa Mwenyezi Mungu, kwa sababu hii maneno alikuwa anawekelewa governor alikuwa ni uongo. Yeye hajaiba kura, ameshinda kihalali. Yeye ndio alikuwa ushindi kamili. Kwa hivyo
President William Ruto has responded to Raila Odinga's demand on the opening of the IEBC server and an audit conducted by using reputable firm. While addressing women leaders during the relaunch of the Women Enterprise Fund and second product of the Hustler Fund at KICC, the head of state said his work as the president is to serve Kenyans, and the opposition has a right to handle their matters as long as they are within the law. Let's take a look.
Very proud Kenyan and a very proud person that today is the Women International Day of Women.
It is not the role of a president to open IEBC servers. Speaking during the International Women's Day celebrations at KICC, President William Ruto asked the Azimio coalition to stop asking him to do things that are not stipulated in the Constitution. According to the head of state, the IEBC servers remained open and accessible ever since Kenyans took to the polls last year.
Our good brothers and our good sisters on the other side, the only thing I ask of every Kenyan is that we must respect the rule of law. Don't ask me to do things that are not provided for in the Constitution. I told these good people the servers were open all the time. Now they want to tell me to go and open the servers. I am asking them, my good friends, where in the law, where in the Constitution does it say it is the responsibility or business of the president to go and open servers? Kama nyinyi mko na nafasi ya kwenda kufungua masaba, tafadhali endeni mfungue masaba, mtatuambia ile mmepata huko ni kitu gani. Lakini mimi niko na shughuli mingi, niko na mambo ya kupanga mambo ya Women Enterprise Fund, Individual Micro Loan, Hustler Fund, kupanga vile chakula itazalishwa katika Kenya, napanga mambo ya mbolea na wakulima, napanga importation ya chakula ndio tupunguze gharama ya chakula. Sasa mimi nitapata nafasi wapi ya kwenda kupambana na mambo ya masaba?
This statement comes a few days after opposition leader Raila Odinga challenged President William Ruto to accept the opening of the IEBC servers for an audit of the presidential election results. Odinga insists the coalition is pushing for the opening of the servers and an external audit to be done to prove that he won the election with a wide margin. Azimio la Umoja One Kenya coalition leader Raila Odinga has issued a 14-day ultimatum to the government to lower prices of basic commodities and taxes, failure to which the opposition will call for mass protest across the country to force the Kenya Kwanza administration to take action. The former Prime Minister has also demanded President William Ruto to halt the process of reconstituting the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission and that stakeholders get involved in the reconstitution of the body, as well as call for an audit of the 2022 elections, failure to which he will lead mass protests as well.
The cost of basic commodities and taxes must come down in the next 14 days, failure to which we shall lead the people to restore their authority and voice. 5, the ongoing process of reconstituting IEBC must stop immediately.
Despite the threats from the opposition to the government, the replacement of former Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission Chairman Wafula Chebukati and 6 commissioners are already taking shape according to the latest reports.
I, Bethwell Sugut, having been appointed member of the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission Selection Panel, do solemnly swear that I will at all times obey, respect, and uphold the Constitution of Kenya.
Chief Justice Martha Koome presided over the swearing-in of the selection panel for commissioners of IEBC appointed by the head of state. These are worrying news to Azimio la Umoja One Kenya coalition camp, who are still holding they won't participate in the next coming general election if President William Ruto fails to suspend the ongoing appointments of IEBC selection panel. Bitis Njeri, GBS News. Once again, thank you for joining this live broadcast, and of course do engage with us through our SMS line 21144 and GBS TV Africa in all our social media handles. Let's take a quick break. We will be right back. Welcome to Mahanaim International High School. Are you worried about the character of your child? Mahanaim is the best Christian and character building school and offer British National Curriculum, IGCSE O-Level and GCE A-Level, and mixed day and boarding school. For more inquiry, call 0710 111 333.
Everywhere, GBS.
Welcome back. On other stories making headlines, in a ceremony presided over by Chief Justice Martha Koome at the Supreme Court on Thursday, the 2nd of March 2023, a group of 465 lawyers became the first batch of legal practitioners to be issued with electronic practicing certificates. This comes as the judiciary is gearing towards technology in a bid to go paperless. Let's take a look.
Be admitted as an advocate of this honorable court, dated at Nairobi this 2nd day of March 2023, by the Chief Justice and the President of the Supreme Court of Kenya.
Chief Justice Martha Koome, in her speech, said the judiciary is celebrating a huge milestone in the ongoing automation process. She stated that so far, the judiciary has managed to implement the case tracking system, judiciary financial management system, judiciary e-filing system, and virtual courts.
So, learned friends, ladies and gentlemen, as you celebrate your admission to the bar, we in the judiciary are also celebrating a huge milestone in our ongoing automation process, and the Chief Registrar of the Judiciary has explained the various technological solutions we have engaged with in the dispensation of justice, including what we are going to launch this morning, which is going to expedite the way we process the practicing certificates for advocates.
Additionally, the system can issue advocates annual practicing certificates and processing applications for the appointment of commissioners for oaths. Initially, the processes were run manually.
As you know, we already have a case tracking system, which we started implementing in 2018. We have the judiciary financial management system, which we also started implementing in 2019, judiciary e-filing system, and virtual courts that we are using.
She further added that the judiciary advocates management system is transforming the judiciary internal mechanisms and service delivery to advocates, and it is also improving the efficiency in judicial procedures by addressing delays and other challenges.
In addition, the public expects you as advocates to uphold professionalism and integrity, which are crucial within this legal profession. And it is through that upholding of integrity that we will get public confidence in our legal system and the proper discharge of the court function as we work together. If you don't do your work properly, it affects the way we discharge justice and entirely the administration of justice.
Reporting for GBS TV, I'm Barbara Gamba.
Education Cabinet Secretary Ezekiel Machogu on Thursday, the 2nd of March, addressed parents' fears regarding the transition of students to the junior secondary school. First, the CS discredited reports that learning in public junior secondary schools was inferior than that in private schools. Furthermore, the CS addressed the issue of financial challenges parents experience when registering their children to junior secondary school. To this end, Machogu advised parents who are challenged financially to take their children to the nearest day secondary school where fees is fully catered for by the government. The CS was speaking while in Kisii County, where he is leading the multi-agency team in the mop-up exercise to achieve 100% transition to grade 7 and Form 1. Machogu further assured Kenyans that the level of preparedness in junior secondary schools across the country was commendable, indicating that teachers recruited were well equipped to handle the competency-based curriculum. According to the Cabinet Secretary, already 96% of learners have already been registered for the grade 7 under the junior secondary schools. The CS furthermore affirmed that the Presidential Working Party on Education Reforms came up with recommendations for the implementation of the competency-based curriculum and domiciling of junior secondary schools in primary, and the government is not going back to 844.
School and also senior secondary school, because you know the requirement of the Constitution is that we expect 100% transition from grade 6 to grade 7. And I'm happy to report to Kenyans that in junior secondary, we are now at 96%. The areas which were not doing well, the counties, like last week I was in Kilifi County and a part of Kware and also Mombasa, counties which were not doing as well when it comes to transition to junior secondary school. But I'm happy today that countrywide, the figure we have, the percentage that are so far gone to grade 7 is 96%. So we are making an appeal. The few that have not gone, my county directors of education, the sub-county directors of education, plus our team from internal security, because this is a maritime agency assignment that they must mop up so that any child who has not been able to go to school can be able to do so in the course of this week. Equally, in senior secondary, the transition has been equally good from 1 because so far we are around 91%, meaning there is 9% who have not been able to report to school. And we are also making an appeal to our chiefs, assistant chiefs in each and every part of the country to collaborate with my officers of education so that in the course of the week also, we make sure that all our students or our children are packed to school in Form 1. We have made it very clear that uniform should not be an issue, particularly in junior secondary. The same uniform that they were using when they were in grade 6 is the same uniform that they should be able to continue using until such a time that parents will be ready to purchase and procure the uniforms for grade 7. Government has been able to set a figure for capitation for junior secondary schools, and we have agreed on a figure per student of 15,042, and that money will be dispersed anytime now, because what we were waiting for was the exact figure and the enrollment as per each and every school, because we will send the money based on the enrollment of each and every school. Like here, Ivacho, Varacho, junior secondary, I've confirmed that the number we have in junior secondary school is 82 students. So 82 times 15,042 is the amount that we are going to send to this particular school. Equally, we've been able to send textbooks to all our junior secondary schools in the country because we sent out 17,800,000 textbooks covering all the subjects, all the running areas that are done in grade 6, grade 7. So the textbooks are out. It's only a few subject areas that we have not been able to send the textbooks, and that exercise is also ongoing. By next week, we should have finalized giving out textbooks to each and every junior secondary school in your country.
President William Ruto has announced a bold plan to cut the cost of cooking gas by more than half by June this year. The president has promised that a 6-kilogram gas cylinder will cost between 300 and 500 Kenya shillings, down from the current average of 1,200 Kenya shillings. Mark Anthony with the full report.
Speaking during the relaunch of the Women Enterprise Fund and the second product of the Hustler Fund at KICC, President Ruto said that the 6 kg gas cylinder will reduce to either 300 Kenya shillings or 500 Kenya shillings by June 2023. Ruto stated that his government would crack down on cartels in the gas industry that have been exploiting Kenyans with high prices. He assured the public that he will deal with the issue by increasing supply and competition in the market, and to achieve his vision, the president recently opened the newly built Taifa LPG gas terminal in Mombasa.
Serikali inachukua kama ushuru kwa mambo ya gas. tutaondoa ndio tupunguze gharama ya gas, wananchi wengi waweze kununua gas. Jambo la pili, leo mnanunua mtungi ya gas shilingi 2,000, shilingi 2,800. Tumesema sasa tutaweka pesa ya serikali kupunguza gharama ya mtungi ya gas. Ile ya kilo 6 mnanunua 2,500, 2,800, tutaishukisha chini mpaka shilingi 500 ama 300.
He also said that in terms of the cost of the cylinder, he will look into it and see whether the cylinders can be given for free or charged at a minimum fee.
Kwa sababu tunataka kina mama wengi. Mimi nimesema hivi, kwa wale watu 70% ya Kenya wanatumia kuni na makaa, 99% ni kina mama. Si ni kweli? Na ili tupunguze gharama ya gas, tumesema tunaondoa ushuru. Namba 2, ile mtungi mnanunua kuanzia mwezi wa 6, hiyo mtungi itatoka shilingi 2,800 mpaka shilingi 500 ama 300.
The president said that the reduction on the cost of gas will result in health safety for Kenyans and restoration of the environment by reducing the number of trees fallen for firewood and charcoal. Reporting for GBS TV, I am Mark Anthony.
Kenya's Prime Cabinet Secretary, His Excellency Musalia Mudavadi, has applauded the non-aligned movement member countries under the leadership of Azerbaijan President Ilham Aliyev, who is the chairperson of NAM, for spearheading a rigorous campaign for access of vaccine during the tough COVID-19 pandemic period. Mark Anthony with the full report.
Speaking at the summit-level meeting in Azerbaijan's capital Baku on Thursday, while presenting Kenya's status update on measures being undertaken by government to cushion its citizens from negative effects of the pandemic, Mudavadi said that the non-aligned movement contact group on COVID-19 did a tremendous job in lobbying for not just availability, but more access to vaccines. He said that the COVAX initiative campaign guaranteed a rapid, fair and equitable access of vaccines by people and countries regardless of their wealth. The Prime Cabinet Secretary, who represented President William Ruto at the Baku summit, further pointed out that the campaign was a gesture towards not only promoting equity, but enhancing world peace and cooperation. With the COVID-19 pandemic having significantly affected many economies worldwide, Mudavadi further told the summit that Kenya supports the non-aligned movements on the need for the international community to boost debt relief and restructuring to help African countries mitigate the effect of COVID-19. He said that such support should be through investments in the implementation of practical climate change adaptation programs. Mudavadi urged the NAM members to be their brother's keeper in the efforts to re-engineer the dwindling fortunes in the economies, adding that Kenya has embarked on stimulating a stagnant economy through the economic recovery agenda for economic turnaround and inclusive growth.
Kenya applauds the non-aligned movement under the Azerbaijan leadership for spearheading NAM campaign to access vaccines during the COVID-19 pandemic. Kenya supports NAM on the need for the international community to boost debt relief and restructuring to help African countries mitigate the effects of COVID-19 through investments and implementation of practical climate change adaptation programs.
The non-aligned movement is a forum of 120 countries that ostensibly are not formally aligned with or against any major power bloc. The countries of the non-aligned movements are usually considered developing or third world countries, representing nearly 2/3 of the United Nations members and hold 55% of world population. Reporting for GBS TV, I am Mark Anthony.
While market opportunities in the renewable energy sector, sustainable agriculture and aquaculture are already known, a key insight highlighted $54 billion market potential for waste management and circular economy sectors by 2030, with the water management sector offering over $22 billion in potential. Speaking during the Building of Green Economy report launched by Aspen Network of Development Networks in Nairobi today, the organization's managing director Kyle Newell say that there was a need for the report since there was a need for green entrepreneurs to be enlightened on what green entrepreneurship really is and is having the right way of funding. Let's take a look.
Market opportunities in the renewable energy sector, sustainable agriculture and aquaculture are already known. A key insight highlighted the $54 billion market potential for waste management and circular economy sectors by 2030. However, the green entrepreneurial ecosystem in Kenya remains heavily influenced by international players, with about half of support organizations, including 70% of finance providers, being headquartered outside of Kenya. The report highlights a need of strengthening local capital provision and technical assistance, as well as more focus on ecotourism and disaster management. Speaking during the Building of Green Economy report launched by Aspen Network of Development Networks in Nairobi today, the organization's managing director, Kylie Nowell, said there was a need for the report since there was a need for green entrepreneurs to be enlightened on what green entrepreneurship really is and also having the right type of funding.
In the Green Entrepreneurship Report in Kenya, it's critical to highlight the needs of entrepreneurs that are creating green solutions, but also the need for additional financing and additional support to be able to support entrepreneurs that are helping Kenya to be able to adjust and to mitigate to climate activities. And so hopefully through this report, we'll be able to have now the tools to be able to go out and advocate and to be able to bring in the necessary things we need in order to move the sector forward to help Kenya adjust to climate change.
Another opportunity that we found is that there's a lot of opportunity for green entrepreneurship in Kenya. Not just the financing, but also the capacity building angles that come from programs such as incubators, accelerators, and therefore we are calling upon our entrepreneurs in Kenya to associate themselves, organize with such institutions that help you develop your business models so that you're setting yourself up to be ready to be investor ready.
According to Patrick Obonyo, who is the IKEA Foundation's program manager, the two most critical challenges affecting the country are poverty and climate, and embracing green entrepreneurship is one of the best solutions.
The IKEA Foundation, we work to help families afford better livelihoods and protect the planet. We do believe that the two most critical challenges facing the world today is poverty and climate change. And these two really need to be addressed simultaneously rather than separately. What we are working on are three important things that we want to ensure that we help families here in Kenya to afford livelihood opportunities. We work on regenerative and circular agriculture because we believe agriculture is the backbone of the economy here. And we have very good practices, traditional practices that can be uplifted to help farmers improve not only productivity, improve their incomes, and protect the planet. I think that's a great opportunity. Secondly, we are looking at waste management. Waste is a critical challenge facing major urban areas with the population growth that we are seeing in cities like Nairobi, Mombasa, and Kisumu. We believe we need to find structural ways that create circular waste management system that reduce the waste from the environment. The third thing that we do in this country is really support decentralized models of renewable energy access.
As mentioned earlier, waste is environment, and environment is a devolved function. So we are looking forward to working with county governments just to make sure that there is infrastructure, because infrastructure is the main problem. So you'll find there are no dust bins, there are no waste collection centers. So that is be the main thing.
Access to finance remains the primary challenge across the sectors covered, according to entrepreneurs and support providers interviewed for the study, particularly regarding a lack of investor confidence in business models with new technology or those that are new to the Kenyan market. Hilary Kabila, GBS News.
Invesco Insurance gets a reprieve after Commission of Insurance agrees to allow it to resume business immediately. The company offers covers to public service vehicles had been placed under liquidation after it defaulted on paying claims running into millions of shillings. In a notice on Friday, the industry regulator directed the insurer to immediately stop entering into the new insurance contracts following the High Court ruling. However, it has come to a reprieve to the new insurer as the Commission of Insurance agreed to allow the firm to resume its business immediately last week. Following a court decree, Invesco Assurance Company stopped from issuing insurance policies and therefore had not been authorized to enter into any new contracts of insurance. High Court has been deferring its final orders in the judgment on the application of the new insurer, but little progress was realized in the paying of debts.
One, has the decree been suspended, or for it was the suspension of the decree? I said no, and it shall remain, the suspension remains in force until 16th of March. Number two, I asked Kambuni the execution of that decree. One, still a company that had been living all these periods. The court itself ordered the liquidation was very, very slow. And it is suspended it for over 10 months. And that is what made this court to sit back and research.
Thank you for joining this live broadcast, and of course we do send our apology for the little problem there with the technicalities, and of course we'll be right back with the news from the counties and international news, but first let's take a quick commercial break. Welcome to Mahanaim International High School. Are you worried about the character of your child? Mahanaim is the best Christian and character building school and offer British National Curriculum, IGCSE O-Level and GCE A-Level, and mixed day and boarding school. For more inquiry, call 0710 111 333.
Nakukaribisha tena katika makao makuu yako katika ulimwengu wa michezo.
Yoga is not a sport. Yoga is actually a way of life. Ukiona FIFA inaingilia kati, it means that the FIFA rules have been violated.
From day one akiingia kwa akademi yako, unamwambia masomo na talent lazima ziende. The moment nasikia masomo imeenda hivi chini, hata time out. Hata hiyo time out kwa football na kando.
Wanawake ni wengi actually mpaka saa hizi. Tumekaa ni kama tumekuwa wanawake wamekuwa wengi kuliko wanaume. Kuna wale ambao ni artistic. Yes, wanapenda mambo ya kuigiza.
I'm coded to look for solutions.
You limit yourself, not the sport doesn't limit you.
We say a dedicated women-only show that focuses only on women.
Everywhere, GBS.
Welcome back, and now moving forward, livestock traders in Susawa area in Narok East Sub-County have decried decreased sales of livestock following the ongoing drought situation in the country, calling on the county government to increase the number of weekly market days from 1 to 2 days. Elsewhere, Sia Disabled Organization is in search of a deaf boy's origin found wandering within Siaya town by police officers. James Odhiambo with a report.
Members of the public have been asked to help identify a deaf and dumb boy who was found wandering within Siaya town by the police. According to Charles Juma, who is the chairperson of Siaya Disabled People Organization, he was informed of the missing boy by Siaya Police Station on 28 February 2023, asking members of the public to help identify the deaf boy's origin. Sign language interpreter Vincent Odongo, who was contacted to help in communication, surprisingly discovered that the boy was unable to communicate even in sign language as he had no basic knowledge of sign language. The boy, who is estimated to be between 12 to 14 years, could not communicate even in informal village sign language and also through writing, and that through the service of a lip reader, they managed to detect the word Kisumu from the boy.
Yeah, it was on 28th Feb 2023 that I received a call from the Sia police station, and on my arrival there I was told that there was a boy who was hard of speech, could not communicate in any language. Therefore, the police requested us as an organization to look for a sign language interpreter so that we could get information in regard to him. Because
it's quite unfortunate that he's unable to sign, being that he never went to school. So getting information about him is a head nut to crack, sincerely speaking. Even with the devs themselves, I've called 2 of them. They've tried to sign with him, but he's unable to. So that is the challenge we normally have in the field when we meet such like cases.
Elsewhere, livestock traders in the Suswa area in Narok East Sub-County have decried decreased sales of livestock following the ongoing drought situation in the country. Led by their chairman Stephen Kalemba, the traders call on the county government to increase the number of the weekly market days from 1 day to 2 days so that the livestock farmers can have more days to sell their livestock, as over 2,000 cows are brought to the market but less than a half are sold, hence taking them back home. The price of the animals has also decreased by over 50%, as there are lesser buyers because of the prolonged dry spell. According to traders treasurer David Mututwa, the dusty market exposes the farmers to airborne diseases, asking the county government to renovate the market and put up a water project to improve their living standards. Additionally, Suswa Assistant County Commissioner Godfrey Shitiav noted that the proposal is valid because it will give the farmers an opportunity to sell their livestock, and also observe that there is an increased number of middlemen in the market, compromising livestock trade as many were exploiting the livestock owners.
Unakuta ng'ombe hapa inafika ng'ombe 3,000, inauzwa ng'ombe 1,500. Hiyo ng'ombe 1,500 inarudi nyumbani. Wale watu wameshindwa kuuza, watakula nini? Tukaomba county government tutafungua soko ya Jumamosi, ile ng'ombe hatujapata kuuza Wednesday iuzwe Jumamosi.
Na sisi kama serikali kuu tumesema pendekezo hilo ni sawa na tumeliunga mkono, kwa sababu hali ya uchumi vile ilivyo, mwananchi akiomba nafasi ya kufanya kazi tunampea, na sisi tunampea usalama na tunampea nafasi mwafaka ili aweze kutimiza ndoto yake.
James Odhiambo, GBS News.
And now moving to international news, plans are at advanced stages for the East Africa community to adopt a common currency by 2027, as well as set up a regional central bank. Secretary General Peter Mathuki has announced that the EAC Council of Ministers will soon be meeting to adopt the plan and agree on the location of the East African Monetary Institute. For the bank to be operational, and the institute has to be established first. Linlon Njok with a report.
The Secretary General Peter Mathuki, on East African journey to a single currency by 2027, said that they are going to finalize where to have the institute this year, and the constitution that will create a roadmap for having one currency in Machakos during the EAC staff retreat.
We are working towards a common currency. When you go to the most integrated parts of the world, the EU, every citizen in the EU, you get into your pocket and you find euro, and you remember that there is regional integration. This is what we are working towards as East Africa. And every East African, irrespective of where you are, either in capitals or the villages, will be able to feel the benefits of regional integration. And therefore, in this regard, moving towards establishing the East African Monetary Institute, or trying to set up a central bank that is one for East Africa, and of course harmonization of both fiscal and monetary policies. Or when we come to the fourth pillar, which is the political confederation, the summit identified a champion of political confederation, His Excellency President Museveni, and a good progress is being made Already we are collecting views from the citizens across the region to see whether we can come up with a legal framework that would make every citizen feel that it is a part of.
He believes that the goal of having a common currency will be accomplished in the next 3 to 4 years. Currency to us had to be suspended during the 42nd Council of Ministers meeting in Tanzania mid last year. A verification exercise to identify the best suited country placed Tanzania on the lead at 86.3%, followed by Uganda, Burundi, with Kenya coming last. Kenya and Uganda, however, teamed up and rejected. The regional bloc, which is currently made of 7 countries, had earlier anticipated to have the single currency by 2024. Last month, a task force formed to look into the matter proposed to have the implementation of the monetary union delayed until 2031. East African Monetary Union is the third pillar of EAC after the Custom Union and the Common Market Protocol. Supporting the move, Mathuki said this will ease the doing of business among the member states while facilitating free movement of persons within the countries. Leno Lunjok, GPS News.
The United States has approved the potential sale of $619 million in new weapons to Taiwan on Thursday, including missiles for its 516 fleet, as the island reported a second day of large-scale Chinese Air Force incursions nearby. Let's take a look.
Some sales are likely to further soar already tense ties between Washington and Beijing, which has repeatedly demanded such deals stop, viewing them as unwarranted. Support for democratically governed Taiwan, an island China claims as its own territory. The Pentagon said on Wednesday the U.S. State Department has approved the potential sale to Taiwan of arms and equipment that include 200 anti-aircraft advanced medium-range air-to-air missiles and 100 AGM-88B armed missiles that can take out land-based radar stations. Taiwan's defense ministry said the missile will help effectively defend the airspace to deal with threats and provocation from the communist military and will bolster defense stockpiles. The U.S. is bound by law to provide Taiwan with defensive weapons, but it has a policy of strategic ambiguity when it comes to exactly how it will respond to Chinese aggression toward the self-ruling island. Since it established diplomatic relations with China in 1979, the U.S. has recognized Beijing as sole legitimate government of China while maintaining an official relation with Taiwan. Chinese President Xi Jinping has not ruled out the use of force in achieving its goal of reunification with Taiwan. Taiwan has complained for the past 3 years or so of stepped-up Chinese military activities near the island as Beijing seeks to assert its sovereignty claims. Leno Lunjok, GPS News.
Thank you, Leno Lunjok, for that detailed report, and that ushers us to our sports news. Let's get sporty. The La Liga race takes a backseat for El Clasico as league leaders Barcelona take Real Madrid today at Santiago Bernabeu on the first leg of the Copa del Rey semi-finals. On the other hand, Arsenal widened their gap to 5 points with second place Man City as United progressed to the quarterfinals of the FA when they crushed Hammers at 3-1 at Old Trafford yesterday. Let's take a look.
Manchester United crushed West Ham 3-1 at Old Trafford yesterday. David Moyes' side lost even after showing a vibrant display on the match. Said Ben Rama opened the scores for West Ham before Naif Augard on goal, making things 1-1. Alejandro Garnacho doubled on the scores for United on the 90th minute as Fred sealed the win for Red Devils on the stopping time when Paqueta made a mistake on the defense, allowing Wagos to make a touch on Fred, who slotted home. United progressed to the quarterfinals where they will face Fulham. Arsenal's young guns extended their gap between them and Manchester City as they crushed Everton 4-0, just a month after a painful defeat at Goodison Park when it was Sean Dyche's first match in charge as Everton manager. Martinelli scored twice and Bukayo Saka and Odegaard scored a goal each. Arsenal not only widened the gap with second-place Manchester City to 5 points, but also realigned the number of matches played to 25. They will travel to Etienne on 26th to avenge one of their 3 Premier League defeats this season. Mo Salah and Virgil van Dijk goals were enough for the Reds to secure 3 points against Wolves yesterday. Liverpool avenged after recently losing 3-0 to Wolves last month. They have been on list form, but their comeback is notable. They will face Manchester United on Sunday on an EPL match. Liverpool are currently on the 6th place with 39 points, while Wolves stand at the 15th place with 25 points. The La Liga title race temporarily take a backseat for a Clásico as league leaders Barcelona take Real Madrid on a Copa del Rey first leg semi-finals in Santiago Bernabeu. Barcelona recently lost to Almeria and were eliminated out of the Europa League by Manchester United. Barcelona has won 35 times in their meetings, while Real Madrid has won 23 times, with the two drawing 21 times in their 79 meetings. Reporting for GBS TV, I'm McDonald.
And once again, thank you for joining this live broadcast, and that marks the end of our news segment tonight. And of course, do remember, here at GBS News at 9, we make your news our business. My name is Beatrice Njeri. Our sign language interpreter is Paul Mathenge. Good night.